This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, Winnipeg and Manitoba? Welcome to another edition of WST Daily. What a win last night, and maybe the all-time FU game by a member of the Winnipeg Jets in Gabe Vilardi's return to Los Angeles last night. We have a lot to get to coming out of last night's 5-2 win for the Jets in comeback fashion over the Los Angeles Kings. Brandon Rewucki's going to jump on, and we'll also chop it up with Scott Billeck and look ahead to this massive 4-game homestand heading into Christmas, which will begin Saturday night, 6 p.m., with a visit from the Colorado Avalanche, who the Jets, of course, just beat in Denver last Thursday to begin this road trip. 3 original 6 teams coming in next week with the Habs, Detroit, and Boston. The fan base is fired up. Hopefully we'll see many more butts in the seats starting on Saturday. And why wouldn't you want to go out and see this team with performance like that? In the absence of Kyle Connor, line one stepping up and absolutely dominating the final 40 minutes. Scheifele, Vilardi, and Ehlers combining for 11 points and a plus 15 on the night. Needless to say, the chat's fired up, and they should be. So am I. And we're going to get to all of it today on the program. We'll also have our latest edition of It Takes a Community to Play, talking more about coaching opportunities and where those coaching opportunities can take you, which is to the Olympic Games around the world. Vlastik Cerny, the former Olympian, Olympic coach, and the longtime swimming coach at U of M is going to jump on. He's got a great, great story. We'll talk to him for a few minutes later on. And don't forget, beat the box office tickets for AEW later on today. And if you haven't already, podcast listeners, get on over to winnipegsportstalk.com. You can enter on the website to win a pair of Beat the Box Office tickets. We'll announce those at the end of tomorrow. But tomorrow is the day the tickets go on sale. But as we told you yesterday, pre-sale goes on until 10 o'clock tonight. And if you want to get in now, use the promo code AEWWPG for pre-sale opportunities right now for AEW April 10th, just in time for a nice Christmas present for the wrestling fan in the family. All right, we got to get to this. Let's get Remis in here. Just before I do that, have to thank the sponsors that make this program happen each and every day. A big thanks to Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries for their support of the It Takes a Community to Play program. Little Brown Jug, the Winnipeg Jets, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Princess Auto, Nick and Nicky DQ, F Apparel, Wallace & Wallace, Vita Health Fresh Market, Canadian Club, Manitoba Battery, Aquatech, Modern Man Barbershop. We'll get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. And of course, I got to give the shout out to Coolbet, as well as a lock shopper in Edmonton named Rod Z, who yesterday while we were doing the Coolbet show and trying to figure out a 3-gamer, we were going to take the Islanders in regulation. We had the Avalanche, and I'm always nervous. I'd never throw out the Jets because I don't want to mush them. But Rod came in with the tremendous information. He said that the Jets were 5-0 in the second end of back-to-backs. The Kings have been way better on the road than they'd been at home. And he convinced us to put the Jets on that sucker, and we cashed it plus 675 to go along with the Gabriel Vilardi revenge goal at plus 300. So it was a great day in the lock shop. Join us tomorrow at noon for our big NFL weekend play. But it was a good day, and let's just say the lock shop was lit today, and Rod got his victory lap, a very deserving victory lap, thanks to Gabe Vilardi and the Winnipeg Jets. All right, let's get Remis in here and get this show on the road. Reem, I know we talked about the signature win of the season on Friday after what the Jets did to the Avalanche in Denver. I think we've got a new number one on the list after last night.
Oh, man, what a game when it seemed like everything was going wrong. They come out and score 5 straight, 2-0, and look, they get that first goal, on the power play, Schmidt with the pretty, look, he shoves a guy, sure, they call it, but then, it was a Kempe shoves Dylan Samring in front like he's a receiver doing offensive pass interference, gets the puck and scores, and Bones livid, Lowry livid. You're on the second game of a back-to-back. Oh, and then they score from Laferriere behind the net. On your Vezina caliber goalie. It looked like, this was going to be one of those nights where it doesn't go the Jets' way, but they were able to reverse the course of action, and the top line, played probably better than they did against San Jose, but they played very well and didn't get rewarded. And boy, did they ever get rewarded with Ehlers scoring 2 and Vilardi scoring 1, and Scheifele adding in the exclamation mark on the empty netter. I thought he was going to pass to Vilardi 2 before that, but a statement game for the Jets after a road trip that already had a statement game. So they come home 3-1. Incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, listen, they were a big underdog last night. They had played the night before. We can go through all of it. We'll hear from Bones. I just love, Bones is the opposite of Maurice when it comes to talking about the challenges of the schedule and all that. And longtime listeners know, I mean, I really did think that Paul Maurice, in some ways, and this is not to crap all over him, but I mean, his style was of protecting his team so much that he would often throw out all the excuses of why it's such a tough spot for the team before the game was even played. In a way, it came out to seem like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Such a tough schedule, the time zones, everything's up against us. And well, guess what? We went out and lost. And Bones last night, said, hey, we played last night. We're on back-to-backs. There's no excuses. We got to push through it. And that's exactly what the Winnipeg Jets did last night. And, I mean, listen, the way that it happened, you mentioned Nikolai Ehlers. Ehlers has been awesome for, well, listen, when he's in and he's on his game, he's elite. There's no two ways about it. After that tough start to the season, missing training camp, he is going right now. And, I mean, these last couple of games has been as good as we've seen. They weren't able to score against Mackenzie Blackwood, unfortunately, when they needed it in San Jose, and lost a game, even though they played quite well and carried the game for, I'd say, at least 3/4 of that 60 minutes after a slower start. But, man, those 2 goals that he put forth on Cam Talbot energized that team, Remis. And they needed it so badly because of what happened in the first period, as you mentioned. I was incensed. I think most fans were. But that happens all the time. What you don't usually see is Adam Lowry and Rick Bowness as livid as they were after that first goal. And you sort of laid it out. I mean, a very, very borderline call against Nate Schmidt that put him in the box. And then arguably the exact same thing right in front of Connor Hellebuyck that created a scoring chance and the goal that was overlooked. Listen, this isn't about bitching about the referees, but man, it's inconsistent right now. And I didn't blame the Jets for being as disappointed and angry as they were. And then it got compounded by a complete fluke goal that I still have no idea how it went in. I mean, the amount of room between the post and Connor Hellebuyck's head was minuscule, and it literally went off Helly's head and bounced off the opposite post and in. And listen, in the past, when something like that's happened, and I'm sure a lot of people were thinking, oh my God, this is just going to be one of those nights. Thank God they got the first 2 wins on the road trip. Come back 2-2. That obviously was not the way the Jets were feeling. And, we talked about the Gabriel Vilardi revenge game. You heard from Vilardi after the game, and we'll play some of those clips as well as the rest of the team. That wasn't just a regular game for the Jets. And maybe that went into playing Hellebuyck in the game. Hellebuck was brilliant for the rest of the way. He didn't allow anything in after that. Another night, I think at 9 in a row with 2 goals against for Hellebuck. And the team rallied and they didn't look back, and they were clearly the better team in the second period. They got the lead, and maybe most impressive outside of obviously the offensive explosion of line 1 was limiting the Los Angeles Kings to 6 shots on goal when they really needed it in the third period.
Yeah, LA's been such a good team. Hustler, they play this suffocating style defense, and you think down 2-0, it's going to be tough. But Gabe Vilardi mentioned after the game, he's like, look, 1-3-1, it's tough to play against. You got to get in hard and deep and retrieve pucks, a lot of skating. They certainly did that, and they got off. They just needed one to, I think get themselves back in, and Vilardi enters the zone, passes to Ehlers, who walks down the middle, and he's got a great shot and puts it past Cam Talbot's glove. And all of a sudden, hey, it's 2-1. You're only down a goal then. You just need one more. And Ehlers goes down the wing and rips another just rocket past Cam Talbot. Absolutely incredible from Ehlers. And you mentioned his slow start in October. He had 4 points in 9 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Well, didn't he have that last night? 2 goals, 2 assists. I'm pretty sure that's what he. I'm pretty sure that's what he had last night. So equaling his October total in 1 game, and we'll play Rick Bowness. Yeah, he said Ehlers is flying. He's feeling it, and he improved in November with 7 points in 13, and now in December after 6 games, he's got 9 points. I know 4 of those were last night, but they need him. We say, okay, who's going to step up in Kyle Connor's absence? Well, Nikolai Ehlers showed, when he gets top line minutes. Gets top line power play. He can be a top line player in this league, and just a big statement game for that top line last night, and for Gabe Vilardi, who he wanted to stick it to the Kings, and he basically said that after the game.
Well, Ian, listen, we'll get to the Vilardi comments in a minute, but that wasn't just another game, as I said. That was a game that everyone in that Winnipeg Jet dressing room, and certainly Rick Bowness as well, wanted to win for Vilardi and Alex Iafallo, who got the nice little welcome back in the first period. And this does go back to it wasn't a full standing O, it was sort of a half and half. And Dennis, from an LA perspective, did mention that I think Vilardi sort of burned a few fans with his comments about how excited he was to play in a Canadian market, which rubbed some people the wrong way. But I'll tell you what, very clearly, Vilardi was rubbed the wrong way. And we joke around a lot about, it's the revenge game narrative. And when we were doing the Coolbet lines yesterday, I'm like, let's get on a Vilardi goal tonight, the revenge game. Dude, that was a revenge game for him. He went there on a purpose to win a hockey game, to play a big role in it, for a team that, to quote him, didn't want him. And was a massive, massive part of arguably the biggest win of the season for his new club.
Yeah, that backhand goal, huge exclamation point, giving the Jets the 4-2 lead. You don't see that too often. A guy going roof daddy, is that the term of the week, Huss? Off a backhand there, in tight, from Dylan DeMello. In his, it was Mel's 500th game. Mel, apparently, did you see this tweet from the Jets? Dylan DeMello, the man of many nicknames. What, Mel, Smoke. I'm in
a great name.
I'm in for Smoke. Oh, I'm on the Jets Twitter looking up that tweet that Vilardi has a nice message here for the fans. But they're back to Winnipeg, this road trip. It was funny how, the game that you thought they were gonna win, they lost against San Jose. I agree with Perfetti. They didn't play horrible. They just couldn't score. And the game where going in, you thought, oh man, they're in tough here. They couldn't score against San Jose. How are they going to look against LA? Is one of the top teams. They blew them out of the water. Crazy. And you took it down 2 top teams in this road trip. Have to be feeling very, very confident heading into Saturday's matchup against Colorado, who did win last night as well.
Yeah, you got Colorado still in first place, because they had the extra win over the course of the last couple of days, and the Jets, did not beat the San Jose Sharks. So Jets 2-point back of the Avs with a game in hand, and if they can win that game in hand, they'll once again be right there with the Avalanche. And we'll get into a little bit more about, certainly the top line, what the ceiling is for that line based on what we saw last night, the contributions of all three of those players. And it's easy to focus in on, those three guys that did all the scoring. Remo, I just DM'd you a graphic from Hockey Stat Cards. If you want to get that up for a minute. And these hockey stat cards and a number of these analytics spots will, give game score courtesy of Dom Lasician for players. And no surprise. Look at the guys running it last night for the Winnipeg Jets. Gabe Vilardi, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, all with monster games. But what's been lost in all of this, and I wanted to bring this up, because if you look at this from last night's game, look past Vilardi, Scheifele, and Ehlers. Number 4 on the list with a huge game, Neil Pionk. Dylan DeMello, smoke in his 500th game. Josh Morrissey and Brendan Dillon. When you have a line that performs the way the Winnipeg Jets had last night, providing that sort of offense, and your top 4 defensemen all near the top of that list, that's a really, really good sign. And I was looking at this, and I know I talked a lot about Neil Pionk, like after that earlier road trip and everything that happened with Adam Johnson and the game he played in Arizona, that afternoon game where he just seemed to be playing with a purpose, unlike anyone else, frankly, in the lineup to start that game. And moving forward, like, this guy took a lot of heat from a lot of Winnipeg Jet fans, a lot of our listeners last year. And I really do think, and I'm interested in your take on this, that, Neil Pionk, for the most part this season, but especially since that horrible tragedy, has been playing some of his best hockey as a Winnipeg Jet. And last night, in the third period, they focused in on the one shift he had when the Kings were really pushing it, doing everything he could to help his goaltender. 3 different instances on the same shift, including blocking down a guy, taking his stick, not allowing him to bang one in on the rebound. And there was a lot of angst about this blue line. And I'm not saying it can't get better, but the guys that are playing in the top 4 especially are doing everything they can to help win games. And Neil Pionk has been leading the way and had another big game last night.
Yeah, you mentioned Neil Pionk since the tragic passing of his friend Adam Johnson, stepping it up. Seemed to have a fire lit under him in that game against Arizona. Scoring his, he scored his first goal, and watching Neil Pionk get in there at times, even on the forecheck, because he brings a lot of energy. He's does have some goal scoring ability as well. But it's funny. The other defenseman we spent all game talking about, we should have been talking about spending more time yesterday on the Vilardi revenge game. Kind of went under the radar. We spent all the time, okay, who's going to be the 7th defenseman? It was Nate Schmidt who got in there. He played solid. He's been solid all year. Is he a bit overpaid? Yeah, but you're going to get from him. And I wonder if he's going to be the guy going forward. They've done, experimenting around, and they're going to go with him. But I think we can agree, no more 11-7, the 12-6. They had 4 lines rolling. Axel getting in on the forecheck as well. You know what he brings. And it was a full team effort, but certainly led by that top line, Vilardi, Scheifele, and Ehlers.
Yeah, and just back, one more thing on Pionk. In the summer, with all of our off-season chats about the team and how they're going to be and moving forward, what needs to happen, as well as in training camp, I said a few times that there might not be a single player on this team that could affect the fortunes of the Winnipeg Jets more with a turnaround season than Neil Pionk. You knew he was going to be playing big minutes, with him being on the right side. You knew he would be out there, and we've seen it in the past that he has played at a high level, especially when he came here from the New York Rangers. And Neil Pionk has done exactly that. Sometimes we hear everyone's really, really loud when guys are getting killed and things aren't going well. And then it's crickets when things are happening. So I wanted to kind of single out Pionk, but that entire top four, because, man, Remis, the more that those guys play, and listen, Josh Morrissey has been leading the way. He has been phenomenal. And I think it goes to show just how brilliant that Scheifele, Vilardi, and Ehlers were together with passing between each other, because it's not too often you'll have a 5-goal game in that fashion that Josh Morrissey doesn't get on the scoreboard. But for the defense last night, they were taking care of business in their own end. They were getting the puck to 55, 27, and 13, and they sort of took it from there beginning in the second period.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do. Give the puck to your skill guys, just say, hey, Nick, here, take the puck, go. Skate all the way down the ice and just rip one past Cam Talbot. It was, again, very solid performance, and they could have packed it in down 2-0 at the end of the road trip, but you could tell this was more than just a normal regular season game for them. They wanted to win for Gabe Vilardi. They wanted to win to, I think to show everyone they're a good team, although, they know, but this is going to be, makes me think this is going to be a real battle here between Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado for the Central Division title. And the Jets, I think, made a statement to the league. And, one guy we haven't even mentioned, Connor Hellebuyck, after all that, 9 straight games allowing 2 or fewer, 11 straight quality starts. That's a positive goal save above expected. That's the longest stretch by any goalie this season. Shout out to Mike Kelly for tweeting those out. So he is dialed in, and you kind of knew, like we've seen this before, where he lets in one, early that's not the best one from a weird angle, and just locks it down right after. And if he lets in 2 or fewer, I think the Jets got a pretty good chance of winning the games there. So he's on pace here for a Vezina nomination, I think.
Hey, nomination, maybe winning the damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Talbot would have been at the top of that list probably going into last night, but I think we're seeing some regression to the mean for Talbot and regression back to the top for Hellebuyck. And just on Hellebuyck, how good does that extension look right now? I mean, can you imagine if he was playing like this and the team was winning the way they are right now and that was still up in the air? I can tell you that the cost of that deal probably would be significantly more. The timing was perfect for the Winnipeg Jets, and he's not only giving them Vezina Trophy level goaltending right now, but the plan is for that to come for another 7 years. And we're not talking about his future at all. We're just talking about him shutting the door again and getting another big 2 points for the Winnipeg Jets. We're going to chop this up with Brandon Rewucki and Billeck coming up. But Remo, let's hear a little bit of Gabriel Vilardi. We've got Bones as well. And Scheifele and Ehlers both spoke after the game. They said, hey, they were feeling it. It was a great game, great team win. But I think the guy that everyone wanted to hear about from was Gabriel Vilardi, who, as I mentioned, delivered an all-time FU game to the team that traded him to the Winnipeg Jets. Here's Vilardi on the big comeback win for the Jets.
Yeah, it feels good, especially like we won. That's a great win for us. I mean, coming off a tough loss last night in San Jose, nobody was happy with that result, and to come in and obviously beat the Kings, who are one of the best teams in the NHL. So, big win.
Coming off the comments about Lizotte a couple of weeks ago, anything said tonight out there on the ice by him?
No, I mean, I don't really want to get into that. I said what I felt. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I said my opinion. I thought it was a dumb play by him, and I was out for almost 2 months because of it. That's my opinion on it, and not everyone has to agree with that. I have the right to my opinion as well. So.
Sure. How weird was it coming in the other side of the building?
Yeah, it was really weird. Coming in, I didn't know where to go, obviously. First time on this side. Yeah, it was really weird going out for warm-ups, but then once the game starts, it's just hockey. I thought we had a slow start, but we were able to rebound and obviously get the win.
Remo, that was a guy talking after a win. Remember we always talked about Andrew Harris having a boulder-sized chip on his shoulder? It really felt like Vilardi had the biggest chip on his shoulder we've seen from a player going into a game, and to show out the way that he did along with his line mates. I thought there might be some more smiles, but this just goes back to the fact that we joke about revenge game narratives. That was legit last night for 13.
Yeah, it was bringing me flashbacks to Mark Scheifele's game against Paul Maurice last year, but this was legit, not only because they traded him, but he was very pissed off and shouted for him, doubling down on his comments, saying, look, this is how I feel. Can't change my feelings. I thought it was a dumb play. Blake Lizotte taking out his leg. He said, I had to sit out for 2 months because of it, and took away time. He's really only played like 10 games. Has he played 10 games as a member of the Jets yet? So he backed up his comments, and I did enjoy him saying, yeah, it was weird. I didn't know where to go in the arena that he's been to. How many times has he been to, I want to say Staples Center, Crypto.com arena. So I think he's becoming a fan favorite here with his play, but also, his frankness in these interviews.
Well, I mean, listen, when it came down to his situation going into last night, he was pretty clear. He was pretty clear about how he felt about the situation before, and credit to him for not sugarcoating it or changing it when he got to LA. He said, that's my opinion. You don't have to like it, but that's what it is. We're going to have Brandon Rewucki jump on in just a second, but I want to get a couple other clips here from Vilardi. Let's do 5 and 6 here, Reem. Because, he did talk about, playing with Ehlers and Scheifele and the chemistry they're getting, and, the fact that he didn't see them very much in Winnipeg as a member of the Kings, but are realizing just how great these players are. But Vilardi was asked if there's a sense of relief after getting that first game in LA done against his former club, the LA Kings.
Is there just a sense of relief that this game's over with?
Yeah, there is for sure. You say it is just another game at the end of the day. Once you get out there and start playing, it's just another game. But obviously coming here and being here was a big deal, and I'm happy that we won.
The feeling of having that kind of elevated intensity, I know it's just hockey, it's 2 points, etc., but like you said, there was something more there, just the emotional side of that for you. How'd you feel?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And we're family. I mean, I think it's amazing to see all the guys stepping up and coming together for me and Al. Obviously, Raz isn't here, but it was I guess you could say, a more emotional game than normal. But I mean, I always sally and get emotional when I score. I like doing that.
All right, so this Gabriel Vilardi, and maybe we'll hear some more Vilardi later on, but here's the final question that was asked Vilardi after the game. And if you had any question as to whether that chip on the shoulder was still there, check this out.
Does tonight close the chapter, or will you carry that chip?
No, it doesn't. Obviously you saw it out there. I mean, I don't know. I was once here, and now I'm gone. I mean, it's the same for everyone. I was drafted here. I loved my time here, playing here. It was amazing, but at the end of the day, they didn't want me, so it doesn't end anything.
At the end of the day, they didn't want me, so it doesn't change anything. The only thing that was missing, if could have made that better, was if he followed up by asking, by the way, did PLD play tonight?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in chat throwing out PLD's stat line, and like, the guy that they did want has. I think Vilardi basically, I think he halved his point total, but Vilardi 1 assist, 3 assists, 1 goal last night. PLD he's got 7 assists on the season and 5 goals for 12 points. So I don't think it has gone very well for Pierre-Luc Dubois adjusting to life in LA. And to be fair to PL, he's not playing top line minutes like Vilardi was. They're not always playing top power play.
Would you play him top line minutes? Looking at the way he was coasting out there last night. And here's the hilarious thing. If you look at his numbers from last night, he did get an assist. Look back at the assist. He barely touches the puck, and that was on that fluke goal that was shot from the corner behind the net off Hellebuck's helmet. He did nothing last night. And I will admit, this may make me a sick individual, but I stayed up extra late last night, putting in Dubois and PLD in my Twitter search and laughing my ass off at everything that the Kings fans are saying right now about that trade. It was an enjoyable night if you were on the Jets side of things. And it was, as much as he still had the game face on afterwards, I think there was a big smile on Gabe Vilardi's face after the game on that flight home. We'll talk about it coming up with Brandon Rewucki. We'll hear from Bones a little bit later as well. Hey, folks, the holidays are here, and there's a Canadian club for every occasion heading into the holidays for gathering and entertaining, enjoying, or gift giving. We've got you covered. Great sales on right now at Manitoba Liquor Marts with all of the Canadian club favorites, the original, the 100% rye, and the CC Classic 12-year-old. And don't forget to keep your eyes out for the limited release Canadian Club Invitation Series 15-year-old Sherry Cask. It's the signature Canadian Club Classic 12-year-old whiskey finished with a secondary aging in Oloroso Sherry casks. All the hallmarks of classic Canadian Club with the added richness and sweetness of sherry. That just launched last month. It is around only for a limited time. It's available at your local Manitoba Liquor Mart for $79.99. And as of about a week and a half ago, there were still 5 bottles of the CC Chronicles 45-year-old still available for anyone looking for an extra special gift for the whiskey enthusiast in their family. Those beauties are $4.49. Again, there was only 5 available. If you are interested in that, talk to your local Manitoba Liquor Marts and see if you can still pick one up before the 45-year-olds are gone. And hey, this holiday season and always remember to enjoy responsibly. Hey, speaking of the holidays, Donnie and the gang, listen, Manitoba Battery is powering this city and province 12 months a year. It's the most convenient way to get your battery in Winnipeg at the best price. But for all of you that are dreading the Christmas shopping season, they've got some great present packages where you don't have to fight lineups, no driving involved, and the gifts will help you keep a loved one safe this winter and beyond. How about this? 25-foot booster cables for $60. 3 sets of 12-foot booster cables for $60. A 2,000 amp booster pack for $120. An ice fishing package that includes a 10 amp lithium battery and charger for $120. And finally, a good old gift card for your loved one to get that battery when they need it for $0. Get your credit card. Give Manitoba Battery a call at 204-783-8787 and knock a few of these gifts off your list in just a couple minutes. It's that simple, folks. ManitobaBattery.com online. And again, 204-783-8787. Free delivery for any purchase over $60 inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. You're also going to want to be looking good for the holidays, gang. And fellas, it's time to head down to Modern Man to get a look for all your photos and everything that you'll be in that you'll want to look good for. When it comes to looking good, head on down to one of 8 locations for Modern Man barbershops, including the newest locations on either Pembina Highway or Plessis Road. Modern Man has you covered with haircuts, beard shaping, shaves, color services, and more. But they're getting busy right now, gang, so make an appointment and book your look via modernmanbarber.com. And give them a follow on Instagram as well, at Modern Man Barbershops. And just before we bring in Brandon Rewucki, if you're thinking about something that your entire family will enjoy for the holidays and long beyond, consider maybe some home improvement or renovations. Aquatech, because they're the experts in pools and spas, but whole home renovations start with Aquatech as well. With thousands of renos as their foundation, let them upgrade any space in your home. Of course, you've got the sauna up on the screen. What an amazing addition that would be. Pools and spas. But if you're ready to enhance your kitchen, your bathroom, or even add a man cave to your home, Aquatech can help you. Visit aqua-tech.ca to learn more about their whole home renovations, including financing options. All right, let's get Brandon Rewucki in here. And continue the conversation. Rue, happy holidays to you and your young, growing family. How about that early Christmas gift for Jet fans last night? And Gabriel Vilardi helping out and being a big part of it. But I'm sure that's exactly what he wanted for Christmas, coming a little bit early.
Yeah, and happy holidays to you as well, and Remo and his burgeoning family and the listeners. Yeah, it's a mini stocking stuffer, eh? Where were you when the Vilardi revenge game happened? That's what last night was. I mean, it was perfect, right? Like for outside of it being, like 2:30 a.m. when the game ended, the game itself was exactly what we all would have hoped for. It was PL Dudbois at one end of the ice, and then Gabe Vilardi spearheading one of the more dominant performances by any line in a game so far this season. I mean, it was tremendous to watch. It was even better to us because, I mean, especially the way the San Jose game went and then ended. The question about, who's going to take over the goal scoring, who's going to be able to put the puck in the net for the Jets. And it's the entire top line that just steps up and says, hey, why don't we just carry you guys for 6 to 8 weeks? And it very well might happen that way. But at least for one night, that was about as good as it gets there. And, I mean, you saw the return of Vilardi to the promising player that a lot of people hoped he would be. Ehlers, now he's officially back so far this season, Scheifele being that one center. And then Vesnabak is back in between the pipes. So a bit of a tough blow to start the week, but all positive here to wind out the work week here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, perspective is important because, I mean, the Jets didn't have a great start. Battled back. It was a tie game. And that was a dominant performance for the better part of the next 30 minutes, and they just didn't score. And obviously the power play still needs work, and they need to kind of figure it out without Kyle Connor. But last night, the way the game started, they were pissed off at the calls and, what didn't get called leading to the first goal of the Kings. And then to have a goal that'll go in once a season or every 2 seasons on a crazy angle off a helmet and a post and in. And all of a sudden the team's down 2-0. And I mean, there are 2-0 deficits, and then there are 2-0 deficits against the Los Angeles Kings. The more I think about it, I think that second frame where the Jets took over the game was the most impressive 20 minutes of hockey this team has played all season long when you consider the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, on top of it, too, 3 and 4 nights, second of a back-to-back.
Time zones.
And right? Like, and you come out there and you flip the game on its head in 20 minutes. It was just awesome to watch. It was so great. Because, I mean, look, going into that stretch there, I think myself and a lot of Jets fans were like, look, get the win in Anaheim, get the win in San Jose, whatever happens in LA happens at that point, right? And you take 2 out of 3 and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. But to take 2 of 3 and to do it against the Kings in the fashion that they did was extremely impressive. The Kings have kind of had the Jets' number these past few seasons as well. So everything's stacked against them, and they find a way to get it done there. I mean, it's if there were – I always kind of hesitate to do this, Hus, because, we're not even into the new year yet. But if there were any doubts that this team was different than last year's team, I just don't know how you can hold back anymore, right? And on top of it, too, like how many games in a row giving up 3 goals or less, and they do that again to one of the more explosive teams offensively in the NHL. It was, I mean, gut check, resilient, whatever adjective you want to throw out there. The Jets just went ahead and they pulled out a big one in LA, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, a performance that, I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected it, and I bet there was plenty of Jet fans with that 9:30 start that saw what happened in the first period and said, well, I'm out, and I'll see the guys tomorrow on Winnipeg Sports Talk and hear about it and how they can get back on track against the
thought
Avalanche.
about that, to be honest.
and then stuck around, and if you did stuck around, it was well worth it. I mean, let's talk about that line. And I think, let's start with Ehlers, because Ehlers was the catalyst. He had been shooting a lot lately. He'd been missing the net quite a bit. I mean, he was frustrated in San Jose, especially on the power play. And credit to the Sharks for the way they just sort of collapsed. And, there was no shooting lanes. They were blocking it. They were taking the pucks. He had a couple of those rockets over the shoulder of Cam Talbot. And I've often thought that he uses a stick that's like, it's like he basically grabbed one of Tyler Myers' sticks before he left. And it seems kind of too long. And sometimes I think that affects maybe some of the stick handling. But man, can he rip it. And those 2 goals, signature Ehlers goals, in addition to everything that he was doing when the puck was on his stick with that world-class speed.
Yeah, I mean, the one where, you're on the rush, on the move. How many guys are catching him when he's skating that fast? I mean, look, for Vilardi to hit him in stride, great pass to kick it all off there. But I mean, honestly, how many guys in the NHL can move that fast through the middle of the ice and then in stride without breaking a step, go bar down like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's high-level hockey at its best. And that's – Ehlers has been that guy for – I mean, he's probably been there for like 2 or 3 weeks now. It took him maybe a bit longer than some of us anticipated earlier in the year when he made his return. But I mean, he's back to the guy where we used to have argument. Why isn't he getting 20 minutes a night? Well, good news. He's going to be getting 20 minutes a night for the next 2 months, essentially, at the very least. And if he keeps playing like that, it's going to be 20 plus minutes a night, for about 4 or 5 months after that. They were all great. No doubt about it. I mean, you don't kind of luck your way into a 4-point night if you're Gabe Vilardi and, Scheifele getting maybe a little bit of hockey karma sticking up for Connor and then gets 2 empty netters to add onto the score sheet there. But Ehlers, when he's going like he is right now, there's 6, 7, 8 guys in the league that can do what he does. It's so fun to watch. All the early season worries are completely out the window there. And you wonder how high the ceiling might be for this line, Huss. Vilardi looked great early in the year, didn't get much of a chance until the injury, and you could see him. He plays well with the really skilled guys, like he just gets it. And I think we haven't even seen him totally utilize his best asset yet, which is his shot. Like, imagine once he's able to rip off a couple off an Ehlers or a Scheifele feed. So there's a lot of reason to be excited about what that top line can do moving forward here. And yeah, they might have to do that on a pretty consistent basis here.
Good comment in chat here from Brendan Matheson. Ehlers had 5 points in his first 13. Now he has 15 in his last 15. He's playing lights out hockey and has elevated his game since going up to play with Mark. Ehlers, Scheifele, Vilardi played their best game. I think we all would agree on that as a group. And, when we talk about where Ehlers is fit, I mean, I had some guy going like, see, look what happens when you put Ehlers on the first line. I mean, it's not like Ehlers has never played with Scheifele before. But during this period, and this included the time with Kyle Connor on the line before Connor was injured against the Ducks, from my perspective, Brandon, I'll get your take on this, Scheifele seems to be more comfortable with Ehlers as these games have gone on. And, it didn't look great the first game. I mean, Ehlers did a couple things where there were some offsides and back pass to no one that went the other way. And some of that uncertainty between the line mates, it just seems like it's diminished game after game. And now, in the absence of Kyle Connor, those guys have stepped up. Vilardi, we talked about how big he was yesterday, coming together for a signature game for that line. And to what you mentioned earlier, and I kind of did at the start, you do wonder what the ceiling is for this line, because we saw how devastating they can be. Putting up 11 points, being a plus 15 against a Los Angeles Kings team that frankly just doesn't have that happen to them.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I've always liked the way it's funny because we heard these whispers like a while, like I don't know how true these were, but that Mark Scheifele didn't totally love playing with Nikolai Ehlers, right? Like there was a level of unpredictability that or maybe he was just more comfortable with Wheeler and Connor for so many years. You know what I mean? Like there was always that thrown out there.
Yeah, but
it was funny because whenever they were put together. And you look at the numbers, you're like, well, who cares if he doesn't like it? Like, you don't like it, you're on track to make $8-9 million a year with these kind of numbers. Like, you might like the paycheck, even if you don't like your time on the ice together. But I mean, there is definitely a bit of it's a process playing with Ehlers, right? Because he's very untraditional in how he attacks the offensive zone. I mean, on the rush, I think him and Scheifele play off each other well. I think of that goal at home a few games back where it was just bing, bang, 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 boom, all over the offensive zone, and Ehlers goes bar down there where, they're able to play off each other nicely like that. But, Mark Scheifele, he kind of mentions this too, that offensively he tries to simplify his game, and he says that, like, from an NHL All-Star perspective, it's not very simple in terms of what he does skill-wise, but there's a lot of let's go in there and try to forecheck and move it around that way. And that's how he played with Wheeler and Connor for a long time. And I think having Vilardi on that line kind of gives them, or at least gives Mark Scheifele a bit more of a grounded complement to play with. And now they're a little more accustomed to, when Ehlers gets the puck and he starts, winging around the offensive zone, going in circles, that, you've got to try to find some space in the zone, some open areas to work with, because he's going to find you with the pass, or he's going to find a lane to shoot, and you're going to create a rebound, right? So I've never had a problem with Scheifele and Ehlers together. I don't know how much they have either, but I think that they're, anytime you put smart hockey players together, I think they generally find a way to figure it out. And I think that's the case of what we're seeing right here, and that, Vilardi, even though being the youngster on the line, can be the defensive conscience, and on top of that, be a playmaker and be a finisher if he's given that opportunity as well.
Well, let's kind of expand on that. It had been a rough start for Vilardi. I mean, he had 2 pretty nice games, got hurt, missed 2 months, a little bit slow coming back, and then does that in a game that obviously meant so much to him. What do you think last night does for Gabe Vilardi as we move into this big homestand heading into Christmas?
Yeah, springboard. I honestly don't know how it isn't, right? Like, I mean, to get that off your back and then to play the way that you did there, I mean, for any young guy, confidence just must be through the roof right now. And you're given the opportunity, you have the confidence and the trust of your coaching staff. Don't be shocked if we see a bit of a Vilardi heater over the next handful of weeks here. I think it's wild too. I honestly think we haven't seen him play his best hockey yet. I think he's going to get better and better and better as we move along. And the guy that we're seeing right now is pretty damn valuable. Like, it's wild to think that there's still another level that he can get to here. And like I mentioned earlier there, Huss, I mean, once he starts ripping a couple, and if he gets a little, I wouldn't mind seeing him be a little selfish with the puck and start shooting a little bit more. Once we see that element of his game added in, I think that top line's going to be pretty damn interesting. And it's funny too, because we saw the Dubois-Vilardi comparisons all night and throughout the morning as well. The player cards and things like that. Like, obviously there's no Jet fan that would do a Dubois for Vilardi trade straight up at this point. I wonder, Huss, how much the Kings would have to throw in a Dubois and Vilardi trade to make that palatable from a Winnipeg perspective.
Yeah, they'd also have to eat 60% of the salary.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like, how much retainer and then how much compensation on top of that do you want to add to get this one done?
Well, it's actually funny you bring that up, because I see SK, who's always clapping on Chevy, and Spency. Those put it this way, the Chevy critics are pretty quiet right now and grasping onto a few things that probably are not true. In fact, everything that he has done from that trade through the offseason and the signings of Scheifele and Helly, like I was saying right now, can you imagine if that Hellebuck deal didn't get done? And we're sitting here coming into Christmas with an expiring contract, with Hellebuck playing the way he is, the team playing the way he is, with the uncertainty of what they do, how do they go about this. It would have been almost impossible to trade him because of how good the team is and how legitimate they are in the West and the chance that they think they have to make some noise in the playoffs. I mean, you want to talk, I'll say this right now, and this is probably going to make a few of his biggest critics roll over. But when you think about the moves that Cheveldayoff made through the summer, being patient, getting it done, getting the trade done with Dubois, bringing those new players in, the re-signing of Nemetsnikov, re-signing of Niedermeyer, the dual twin extensions. If the Jets stay where they are in the standings, he'll probably be a finalist for the GM of the year, which is going to drive some people crazy. But do you not agree?
Yeah, that's how the GM of the year usually works too. It's like some guy that's up against it, and they find a way to turn it around. And it's funny, when you mentioned it, what would it be like if Hellebuyck didn't have the extension? I don't think he's in Winnipeg right now because Edmonton couldn't get a save to save their season.
Buffalo,
New Jersey was at the same point. Buffalo, like one of those teams would have been like, screw it, we'll just get him, right? So like, imagine
Name
the
your
ultimate.
price.
Yeah, like whatever you want. Simon Nemec, yeah, whatever. Just throw a couple first. Yeah, let's keep it going here. So it's funny to see what the alternate universe might have been like if that's the case. But yeah, I mean, I've been very critical about, a number of moves and non-moves that Chevy has made over the last, 18, 24 months. But this offseason alone was that was a grand slam. You can't argue anything other than that right now. He's nailed everything. Dubois trade.
Going back to the trade deadline last year.
Yeah. It's a few deadlines too, but like the Andrew Kopp trade was a monumental haul for what, somewhat disappointing out there in Detroit, right?
Just wait till Elias Salmonson gets here next year.
Yeah. We haven't even seen him drop in yet, but it's been pretty impressive work. There's obviously with the logjam on defense still unsolved. Like there's a few things that need to be ironed out moving forward. And maybe there's another big move or two in the offers that, we'll find out in a couple of weeks' time. But the way he set this club up right now, I don't know what the major arguing point would be, in all honesty, right? Like every team in the NHL has a contract or two they would like to get rid of, in all honesty. You could kind of argue little minor points in terms of like the prospects and the development and things like that. But all in all, with where the Jets are at right now, it's been best case scenario since the season started. And you've got to give a tip of the cap to Chevy for that too, because look, if they might have signed those extensions 2 months into the season, I don't think it's the same positive vibes to start the year, right? Like to get that done before the season even started it's really hard to quantify that in terms of numbers, right? But it was a massive, massive boost to the team internally. And once they hit the ice, you could just tell that the club, in terms of its like mental health, is in a much, much better spot than they've been in years.
100%. And there's no better example of that is Scheifele. And I guess to your point, I guess there is an element of chicken or the egg with the extensions, and having him have a clear head coming in, knowing what his future was. But everything that I was just saying about Hellebuyck, you could say the exact same thing about Scheifele, because, not only is he producing at, an all-star level, but honestly, if you look back at this road trip, those 3 games, especially the last 2, if you isolated some of Mark Scheifele's commitment to back-checking and just doing everything he can, not going to be a Selke finalist, but doing everything he can to help his team in both ends, and compared that to what we'd seen in the last couple of years, it's night and day. And doing what he's doing right now, what would the number be for Scheif? So, it really is falling into place. And those 2 extensions are, well, the fingerprints are all over what's happening right now with this hockey team. And it certainly completely flipped the narrative about where the team was. And back to, I think it really kind of emphasized and reinforced their belief in the players that they had right now. And a lot of people around here didn't want to hear it. But they're sort of being proved right now with the way the team is playing. Moving on from those forwards, and that's, a conversation we'll be able to have throughout the year. I pulled up the game scorecard from Dom that Connor had tweeted out last night. And you saw the monster game, basically maxed out to the end for Vilardi, Ehlers, and Scheifele. Right after that, though, next up was Neil Pionk, Dylan DeMello, Josh DeMorrissey, and Brendan Dillon. And for all the talk we have, God knows the chat is 50% debate about the 6 defensemen, which is the most Canadian market thing of all time. Those guys, but Pionk in particular, is playing his ass off right now. And I'm not sure whether it's the headspace, kind of maybe refocusing or just playing hockey after everything that happened with Adam Johnson. We talked in the offseason about how we knew Pionk could be much better than he was last season. And that might be the most important thing as far as having an effect on the Winnipeg Jets wins and losses. What have you seen of Pionk's game and how important he is and how different he looks and confident he looks as opposed to, a real tough season last year?
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use, is he just looks more confident out there. And I don't know if he lost it last year or what the deal was, but I mean, he's always at his best when he's being aggressive all over the ice. Like in the neutral zone, he's very effective in terms of picking off passes and stopping plays before they happen. I don't think he's great at defending the blue line all that much, but when he gets stopped dead before the puck even gets there, that's his biggest strength. And I think we're seeing him jump into the play more. But I mean, part of that too, Huss, is, and this goes with, I mean, all the blue liners really, but I would say especially the second pair there, is you can play a lot more aggressive and confident when you know there's going to be forwards back there to support you. And we saw all too many times last year that wasn't the case. And when you remove that layer of trust, it's tough. It's tough to play effective hockey defensively in the NHL. But that's a complete 180 this year, where there are guys supporting a defenseman pitching in. There are players coming back and back checking, right, providing the back pressure so you can make sure there's not much of a gap between the defenseman and the forwards and things like that. So I think specifically that second pair, but I mean the whole D-core as a whole have benefited immensely from just better defensive play up front, right? Like, I mean, a full season of Niederreiter, Vilardi and Iafallo know what they're doing there, and then you remove some former players that were just lacking in the defensive department, right? Like that does a big part in this team, and specifically Pionk and Dillon just looking more effective out there on the blue line.
Oh, the chat's about to go crazy because the dog has entered the room.
Yeah,
you can bring him around. But maybe Brandon, the best example of that you're talking about with the improved defensive play was the third period last night. I mean, going in with a 3-2 lead and allowing the Kings, who have been one of the best teams in the league all year long, 6 shots on Connor Hellebuck in the most important period of the stanza. I mean, as great as the second period was in scoring the goals and coming back, that third period was almost equally as impressive as what they had done. And I mean, continuing, 18 straight with 3 goals or less? You're going to win a lot of games. Jets, I believe, now 6th in goals against in the National Hockey League, and everyone on this team has a piece of it.
That's such a crazy stat, and it's crazy. and what's wild about it too, Huss, I mean, Hellebuck, now the numbers have taken, like, they've skyrocketed, right? But this isn't a goaltending thing in terms of the goals against. Like, they're just a good defensive team. How, I just never believed this would even be possible, especially, with the majority of the team back, right? Like the same blue line. And then, there we go. That's the reason right there.
The Bones effect. Right.
That's, to me, this is the biggest reason for optimism, Huss, is that they're just playing sustainably good defense. That's what the great teams do, right? Like, I mean, you watch Vegas, you watch Boston, you wonder why they're successful year in, year out, and they got different pieces coming in, guys getting older, all that. I mean, that's the reason why. That's the spine of your team. And they're doing that. Like, they're following that same formula. It's pretty wild to see. And then now we've gotten, and I don't think it's a coincidence either that it happens, Kyle Connor goes down here, but Vezina Buck is back, and there might be another nomination in his future down the stretch here. I mean, that's the wild part too with his early struggles, Huss. He's put together some Vezina-worthy campaigns with a bottom 10 defense in front of him. And once he gets settled in and this group continues to play the way that they have, it's going to be hard to hold him out of the top 3 by the end of the year.
Bring on the Avs on Saturday night in this homestand heading into Christmas. Okay, before we go, I don't know if you can get the dog in to say a quick hi, and you can tease your next skates and plates, because I know Jets fans can't get enough Jets talk these days for obvious reasons.
All right, Ghost, come here. We'll see if he comes back in. He's a husky, so I mean, he's doing whatever he wants. He's probably breaking some door down right now. But well, yeah, Skates and Plates tomorrow, coming out tomorrow morning. Breaking down Jets. King Ghost, come here, Ghost. People want to see you. Come up.
There he is.
Come on, Ghosty.
Look at this big
Ghost.
beauty.
Ghosty. There you go.
He's like, all right, you gonna feed me or what?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, his dog. The food bill is more for him than the rest of the family combined. But yeah, Ghost Bear's doing good. This is his time of the year. He wishes it was a little colder out, but it's going to be walk number 3 coming up soon. So I probably got to jump and do that quick before we record Skates and Plates later.
Perfect. Well, we'll look forward to it tomorrow. Have a great weekend, man, and we'll catch up one more time before Christmas. But enjoy the holiday season and these games at Canada Life Centre starting on Saturday with the Avs in town.
Sounds good. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it. We're going to stay on the Jets coming up with Billeck. But we do have a CFL schedule. We will not forget about that. We'll hit that a little later on the program and discuss the Grey Cup rematch that will open the season right here at IG Field on the 6th of June and more. And gang, as I mentioned, that this homestand coming up. For anybody that was on the fence, well, I'm going to go to a game. We'll see what happens. I think we've seen what's happened. This is a heck of a hockey team that's playing a great brand of hockey. And now's the time to get out and get some more butts in seats and get behind this team for 4 massive games going into the holidays. Beginning on Saturday, 6 p.m., Hockey Night in Canada, Jets, Avalanche, battling for the top of the Central Division. And then Montreal, Detroit, and a Friday night game against the Boston Bruins next week. WinnipegJets.com/tickets. And check out the Jets webpage as well for some other great holiday gift ideas. But this might be the homestand of the season. And it starts off with a massive one on Saturday night. I hope to see you all up in the 300s for that game. Listen, let's give a thanks to our friends at Vita Health Fresh Market for their great support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Listen, winter's here. You got to keep your body healthy. And Vita Health has the best prices on natural and organic supplements, not to mention beauty products and groceries. And, of course, Winnipeg's largest selection of local products, too, just in time for the holidays. All the best men's health supplements as well, including Prairie Naturals, Canada's #1 men's health brand. Other great gift ideas at Vita Health. And, of course, we are a local show. When you're shopping at Vita Health, you're supporting a local family-owned company operated here in the Peg since 1936. And if you're too busy to make it out, get on down to myvita.ca. You can order online with local delivery options as well. Vita Health Fresh Market, empowering people to lead healthy lives. 6 Winnipeg locations and online at myvita.ca. I know people probably don't ask for an overhead door for Christmas, but if that's what would be on your house's list, if your home had a Christmas list and an overhead door is on that, the experts at Wallace & Wallace have you covered for that. Fencing, overhead doors, the leaders in the industry since 1946 here in Winnipeg. And don't forget, that overhead door has had a lot of ups and downs summer and fall, but it's about to work a whole lot harder this winter because winter puts much more stress on a garage door. The right time to prevent downtime this winter is now. Call Wallace & Wallace to book your inspection and maintenance service. Call today for residential and commercial overhead door sales and service. There's only one name or two you need to know, and that is Wallace & Wallace. And hey, speaking of Christmas gifts and holiday wishes, guys, if you're getting ready for holiday parties, family gatherings, you went and got your haircut at Modern Man, you look good, but you're realizing, geez, I don't know if I have the right thing to wear. Take care of that with a trip down to F Apparel or a nice little friendly nudge to that special someone that you wouldn't mind an F Apparel gift card for Christmas, and then maybe take care of their big Boxing Day sales right after the holidays. F Apparel has men in Winnipeg covered with the best in custom suits made to fit, looking great, starting at just $400. along with chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, tucked and untucked styles, and the biggest and best selection of menswear accessories in town. Pop down and see them at 190 Smith Street. Make an appointment if you do want to get fitted. And again, F Apparel gift cards also available online. Check them out. Make an appointment. It's all waiting for you at epapparel.com. And again, at 190 Smith Street, downtown. One other thing, we get to the Bomber schedule a little later on, and stick around at the end of the program because we will do a Beat the Box Office giveaway for AEW tickets for April 10th. And podcast listeners, we do have that contest live right now as well. Another pair of tickets to give away at winnipegsportstalk.com. All right, let's get Billeck in here. And oh, by the way, a big birthday shout out to WST chat legend and my pal, the Gitch, Sean Lishka, who's just said, if anyone's in Steinbach this evening, come out to karaoke night at the Franz and buy me a birthday CC and Coke. May have to send someone in my place. If anyone's going there, let me know. I'll e-transfer you something for Gitch. Let's get Billeck in here, though. Scotty, what's going on? The rug looks so festive. It's just absolutely wonderful.
I wish I could have done more. I've been sick since. This is like the first time I'm talking since last week's show, where I deteriorated quickly after the show. And I've been in hell for the last week and a bit. But steady diet of Halls, and yeah, we're doing good. We're on the mend, Huss. We're on the mend.
Well, so are the Jets. If anyone was too worried about the result on San Jose, not that I thought that they played a bad game, maybe one of, if not the most impressive victories of the season, falling down 2-0 to the LA Kings of all teams, and then Scheifele, Ehlers, and helping out former King Gabriel Vilardi deliver an all-time FU game to the team that traded him. What a win last night that everyone had a piece of, but there were pretty clearly 3 stars of the show, and they were all on that Jets top line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this game. Like, that top line, ever since they put Nikolai Ehlers there, even dating back to Kyle Connor being on the line pre-injury, that line's been unbelievable, right? Like, I had it in my notes after the game, but it's something ridiculous. Like, they're out shooting their opponents 19-9. They're out attempting 19-9. Not just with a new line, I believe, with Vilardi on it. And prior to that, yeah, they were just. It's been really good. Nikolai Ehlers has brought a lot to that line. It's just. I mean, Vilardi said it, I think, a couple days ago, early on the road trip. He just sucks guys, a couple guys to him. That sounds terrible. He takes a couple defenders with him and and goes from there. Man, that's going to get clipped. Yeah, so it's been good for the Jets. And I thought last night's game was very much symbolic of the way that this team has played this season, right? Like, I think if we went back even 2 years, this team would have looked at that game down 2-0 in the first period and be like, yeah, okay, we're packing it in. Long road trip, scheduled loss, blah, 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 blah. Those excuses don't exist anymore. And it's not because people have put the pressure on or they just don't take those excuses. Like, the team doesn't allow that to be an excuse. And you know, they ate that first period last night. And I didn't think that the first period was all that bad that they played. I mean, maybe a little bit early on, first 10 minutes wasn't great. But, I mean, you know, a power play goal against, which this team often has given up this year, and then a really fluky goal that goes off Hellebuyck's mask and in from below the goal line. Like, those don't go in. But one thing you know about Connor Hellebuyck is when he gives up a bit of a muffin like that, it's just lights out after it. And it was lights out after it. And the Jets got away from, they tried to stretch, I think, in that first period, kept on trying to stretch through that 1-3-1, the Kings play. And then they just, their speed in the second and third periods to just beat it, right? And this is, we've talked a lot about this vaunted 1-3-1 defensive system that LA plays. And Gabe Vilardi after the game made mention of it, how difficult it is to play against it, having, you know, practice against it and played in it for the last several years of his career before coming to Winnipeg. So, but yeah, I mean, you needed somebody to step up. I thought that San Jose game, you're right. I mean, I think this team probably deserved better in that game. They had good chances and all that, but they just couldn't score. 5 power plays, nothing going. But they came into LA, and you could see it almost from the onset. I mean, I like the way that Neil Pionk kind of set the tone. He sealed Anze Kopitar off the wall, and it led to a pretty quick Nikolai Ehlers chance not long after. And yeah, they got down, but yeah, the second, third period, you had guys stepping up. Nikolai Ehlers, 2 big goals. The second one was just an unbelievable shot, right? And then from there, yeah, Gabe Vilardi kind of threw the whole thing. You're like, what's going to happen? I mean, I think I sent out a tweet last night. Who's going to fight Blake Lizotte? Nobody did, right? They fought him on the score sheet and beat them handily. And you're right. I mean, that's the biggest FU game I've seen in a while. And Gabe Vilardi had it and didn't hold back after the game either.
Well, no,
which I thought was great.
Listen, we played the comments just before we went into talking to Brandon. And, I mean, I kind of joked that, the only thing missing at the end of that statement from Vilardi was asking, by the way, did PLD play last night? It's hilarious. I mean, on that bizarre fluke goal from behind the goal line in the corner, that was Dubois' assist. And I think he touched it for a second on the boards and it went over. Other than that, he was, put it this way, he didn't seem to be very fired up to be playing his old team. He was getting just roasted by Kings fans afterwards. And I did see a very funny tweet. Someone put up, hey, did PLD play tonight? And then I think it was Liz Hood, who does the Game Over with the SDPN crew, said, oh, yeah, he did. Make sure to go and watch back Mark Scheifele's goal. That was when he lost his stick, and he was just sort of going for a skate around. That can't be. Listen, he's on a great team right now that has a great record. They're one of the top teams in the league. But it is amazing to see many of the things that frustrated Jet fans last year already so on display. And this guy's got 8 more years of it in LA, making $8.5 million. What did you think of our old pal PLD last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw the worst of his game, right? Maybe not the absolute worst. He didn't have that shift that we've seen a couple times in his career, but
didn't take a couple stupid penalties as well.
Right, but you also saw the guy who just didn't seem to want to be engaged. And I think the frustrating part about Pierre-Luc Dubois is that it's not that he needs to play harder or whatever. It's in his mind, right? Like when he wants to dominate a game, he'll go out there and dominate a game. And we saw it many times over the 3 years that he was here, right? But then you get the other games where he just doesn't look like he cares. And so you wonder, right? And so you're like, okay, this guy's, I think he's, 25 now, maybe, Pierre-Luc Dubois. And so you're starting to wonder now, he's like seven years into his career, maybe 6 years into his NHL career now. And these are still things that he hasn't ironed out of his game. Like, how do you get a guy to turn the switch on every night? And as a coach and as whatever, that's got to come from the player. Because, you can put a guy in the right situation to play and you can do all these different things, but you can't force a guy to put himself into the game every night. And that seems to be the problem that Todd McClellan might be having there is trying to get Pierre-Luc Dubois to engage himself on, and if there was any game for him to do that, right? I mean, obviously the Kings are in fighting their own battle in the Pacific Division and all that. They're one of the best teams in the league, one of the best defensive teams in the league, all that sort of thing. But getting up against your old team and trying to, send them packing and 2 straight losses shouldn't be a hard thing to kind of get up for. But then you just watched Dubois last night, and yeah, I mean, the only reason why he was noticeable is because he wasn't very noticeable, and he just didn't show up. And so that's got to be, there's got to be some frustration internally, and I wonder if there's a little bit with the players. Obviously they're able to kind of shelter PLD playing a certain way because they have a lot of good talent on that team. But I mean, what is Rob Blake thinking right now, right? Like you just sold, you didn't sell the farm for him, obviously, but you got rid of 3 pieces, 2 pretty good ones that the Jets have really leaned on, and then Rasmus Kupari, who's I thought it was a good piece in the 4th line before he got injured, and you saw obviously what Vilardi did last night against his former team, and now you're seeing kind of Dubois, and you're paying him $8.5 million a year, and you're wondering, okay, well, where's the guy? And it's fine, like if he shows up in the playoffs and that's it, that's what you got him for. But you need him to help you get there, right? Because eventually Anze Kopitar is not going to be there anymore. Anze Kopitar isn't going to be the same player. Father Time is going to catch up to him. And Pierre-Luc Dubois is the future there at center. And I mean, obviously they got Quinton Byfield in that, but you want Dubois to start showing you those signs. And I get it. I mean, the transition's a difficult one. I mean, he's coming into a new team. It's a completely different system than he's played. And all that, but I mean, yeah, I think one of the tweets I saw last night is Vilardi had 4 points in the game. He was already a third of the way to Dubois' point total for the whole season. Like it's not good enough from Pierre-Luc Dubois. And I think there's a lot of people right now that would suggest that the Jets have won the trade and that sort of thing. We'll see how that goes, but right now the guys that the Jets got from that trade are playing a lot better than Dubois has, and I think a lot of Jets fans who are like, okay, we're fine if Dubois goes because he's shown this too many times, are feeling vindicated in that standpoint.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And I mean, listen, Kings fans on social media, every team's got one of those guys that, whenever anything happens, they're all over him. But listen, you get traded for 3 players, you sign an $8.5 million contract for 8 years. It comes with expectations. And for all
you picked your spot, right? I mean, you can't
everything.
You can't complain and say this isn't where I want to be, because you picked your spot.
No, exactly.
So,
well, the good thing is Nobu has a standing reservation, and there's some other nice things to do there. But we'll see exactly how that goes. Bottom line is, it doesn't matter to the Winnipeg Jets, as a lot of people are mentioning. He's gone. Vilardi's here. He had his signature game, and that top line looked absolutely incredible. One thing, I don't want to get onto this too much, but I had suggested, we kind of talked about like what's the best formulation for the top 6. When everyone was here, this was pre-Kyle Connor injury, and it was very interesting to see Ehlers join Connor and Scheifele, and they seem to get better every game. A little bit of a rough start. But I did say that, I really loved what Ehlers was doing with Cole Perfetti. Connor's gone, so that's not an option anymore. And, going into this next homestand, I think we'll pay close attention to that Perfetti line, because it's pretty clear that the dynamic nature of Ehlers with Perfetti definitely clicked. And there's a lot more work for Cole, and it's a lot on his shoulders right now, trying to really be the catalyst for a line. Because I think it's pretty clear that Ehlers added so much to that line that is lacking right now when they're out on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have Nemestikov back on that line, obviously. I mean, I think that kind of steadies the ship too. But you're right. Like, I think they're missing that guy right now that Perfetti can find and in some open space and make that nice pass like he did with Ehlers on that line at times. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say like this is an issue of depth issue for this team, because I don't think it is, but you might have to start looking at maybe putting a Niederreiter on that line. You don't really want to break up your third line because it's been so good, right? But I mean, Rick Bowness tried it. I want to say, was it at the Anaheim game? I believe it was, where he went to that. No, it might have been the Colorado game early on. Either way, because he called out Cole Perfetti after that one game and basically said that line wasn't good enough. And it hasn't been. You look at the analytics, it's not good enough. They're getting outshot on almost every shift that they play. It's a test for Cole, right? Like, I think Cole Perfetti's had a really good year, but the best parts of his year have come on the wing. And the best parts of years have come with Nikolai Ehlers playing with them. And so that's not going to be the case right now. I suppose move somebody else to that top line, but they're not going to do it because of how well that top line is playing. I guess for now, you can you're all right with it because the other lines are scoring. You get 11 points last night from the top line, going to win you most games. But yeah, they just need Cole Perfetti to step up a little bit, I guess. I mean, I hate saying that because he's played a good year.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's as much as Cole stepping up. It's having. I mean, they're missing a dynamic player like Ehlers, like that can.
Right. And they don't have another guy to really move into that spot. I don't think, right? Like that's probably.
I wouldn't be surprised if Niederreiter is there. And I mean, this isn't to compare Niederreiter and what he does offensively to Ehlers, but he certainly is a guy that has consistently scored. He adds some muscle. He's good on the forecheck, solid defensively. But I also understand that in some ways is sort of. If that happens, that will be the last option, and it'll take a little while to get there because, as we've all seen from game 1, period 1, shift 1 of the season, Lowry, Appleton, and Niederreiter have been an absolute wrecking crew, and they would be loath, I think, to break that up. Although they do have other options, like Alex Iafallo in that role.
Right, they do, and I think you can even try Morgan Barron there, too. I think Morgan Barron's I don't want to call it maybe taking a step or anything, but I think he's showing good offensive instincts lately, even playing fourth line minutes. So I think you could try him there too. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think there's time right now too, Huss, to kind of let that line kind of figure itself out, right? Like if it was costing them games, then maybe that would be more of a thing. But you have. And I think the fourth line's played really well lately as well. So, I mean, David Gustafson's been really, really good. I thought, I was talking about Morgan Barron as well has been good. So I think there's some time to kind of allow that line to sort of figure itself out. But, at some point, Rick Bowness, he's not going to let it last forever. And so if it's not working, he's going to try and move the pieces into those positions to figure it out. But when you got a first, third, and fourth line working well as it is at the moment, I think there's a little bit of time to be afforded to kind of, let that line, establish some chemistry if it can, or maybe just, try and give it a little tweak and get maybe somebody like Niederreiter there, at least to get it going, get some confidence on the line, and then maybe you can move somebody else back off of it, put the third line back together and go from there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, this team's got a big stretch, as you talked about, coming up in this road trip.
Well, you know what? Well, let's get to that.
On Saturday against Colorado.
Just before we do that, well over 500 with us live on YouTube right now. Great to see everybody out. If you haven't already, do us a favor and hit that thumbs up. It really helps us spread the show. And if you have not already, please hit the subscribe button and let us keep getting that number going north. And when obviously it's completely free. And when you hit YouTube, if you're not able to join us live, the latest, freshest WST content from the Daily Show will be there for you. In addition to new things like the Jets This Week that comes out Monday mornings from our pal Connor Rabchuk. And Remis also mentioned subscribe to the WST mailing list. Put in !mail. There's a Streamlab link right there. Great way to get notified of special contests that we do, like the AEW ticket giveaway. We've got some Moose ticket giveaways coming up and much more heading in to 2024. Billeck, before we go, I mean, just thoughts on the challenge ahead. I mean, coming off that big win, a couple days off, and then a rematch from last Thursday's win that opened the road trip with the Colorado Avalanche before the Habs, Wings, and Boston Bruins come to town, all from the East, all original 6 teams before they break for a few days to open presents and eat turkey.
Yeah, it's funny when I'm big into cars, racing, and that sort of thing. And one of the things that happens when there's a point to this, I promise you. But one of the things when you try and set a speed record, you got to do it both ways, right? And then they take the average of both. This is this rematch against the Colorado Avalanche where, you beat them obviously, on the out. Now you got to beat them coming back in, right? And so it's going to be a good game, right? I mean, I think, again, what a matchup on a Saturday night in Winnipeg to face the Colorado Avalanche. And, we'll see how many people show up for the game, but this is going to be a hell of a game. I mean, we already saw the first one last week how good it was and how well the Jets kind of played that Avalanche team. Yeah, I mean, people, you gotta get the naysayers saying, "Oh, yeah, the Avs are missing, part of their lineup and blah blah blah." I get it, but they still had a lot of good players in that lineup, and the Jets beat them. And at the end of the day, you got to win against a team that's put in front of you, and the Jets played that game. I don't want to say to perfection because it wasn't perfect, and it never is. But they played that game really well. Great game plan. Great goaltending, went from there. So I think that's good. And then you get the rematch against the Habs on Monday night. And the Jets lost one, I believe it was the shootout earlier this season against the Habs at the one back. I think Laurent Brossoit was in the net for that game. So we'll see how that goes. And then obviously Detroit and then the big one against Boston heading into the Christmas break. So it's a good, it's another good stretch, a good test of games. I was talking to, I think it was Brennan Dillon earlier, before the road trip, and they like this sort of thing because they're playing. It's getting them into a good, a feeling right now. You're not playing all these. They just came off a road trip where they played Anaheim and San Jose, but they're playing some tough teams right now, and some teams playing some good hockey, and beating those teams. So it's kind of a good test. I mean, we're looking at a Jets team that's really good, and I think. I think there's still people out there that think that this team could go the way of the team last year. But I mean, I would say to people being around this team as often as I am, it's not the same, right? Like it's not the same. They don't feel fragile like they did last year. Like in hindsight, you go back and think about, some of the games even around now, like there's some fragility still in that team. It's not like that. I mean, this team has handled some adversity early on. I think that's galvanized this team. And so I think we're coming into a stretch now. Again, it's a test, but I think the Jets are well equipped to handle this. And, honestly, I think in years past, I even think back to the 2017-18 season when Mark Scheifele went down with his shoulder injury. And I think a lot of people thought like this team was going to really kind of struggle at that point. Obviously they went, I think it was 11-2-3 in his absence, but with Kyle Connor out, and as big as that news was, and as tough as that is, I've said this before, and I wrote about it this week. Like this team is built to withstand these types of things now with their depth, and I think we've seen that over the last few games. Even when Connor went down, like this team has sort of figured out. And this Jets team is an improved power play away from being like quite dominant. Right. I mean, they're already pretty dominant 5-on-5. Their special teams has let them down. I mean, we obviously saw that against San Jose. But yeah, I mean, we're watching a very good team that still has like this thing is still it's higher. Like there's still another level for this team to reach, and it doesn't show the same signs as it did last year. So yeah, it should be interesting. Should be an interesting run into. Obviously into the Christmas break here, and it's just tests, right? It's not an easy run.
Yeah, so. It's a great point. And tomorrow, imagine the team will have a full practice today, sort of a travel day, and get over the road trip.
Yeah.
And focusing on that power play without Kyle Connor, I would imagine will be at the top of the list, and then continue what they're doing defensively, especially as we saw in the third period last night against the Kings. Keep those goals against down as they've been doing, and pop a few goals and keep on putting up 2 points in the standings. Scotty, great stuff as always, man. Grab a few more hauls, take it easy, and we'll see you at the rink over the course of the next 10 days.
Yeah, we'll see you around. Yep. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And one other thing that Scott and I just talked about, and we heard about it in the Gabriel Vilardi audio after the game. He was quick to point out, and he just sort of kind of casually mentioned this, hey, we're a family. And Rick Bowness has said that many times over the course of this year. And listen, a lot of teams say it. Sometimes it sounds like it's lip service. I think in the past we've heard a lot of things that they wanted to be, they told us they were, that maybe they weren't. It really does seem like this year that there is full buy-in from everyone about, the family nature of that team. And it seems to be as tight-knit and a team that plays for each other more than ever before. And if you watch the game last night, in between periods, there was a sneak peek of the new runway series. And it is, I think this episode is called Family. And it deals with Rick Bowness leaving the team to be with his wife, Judy, after she suffered the medical incident. And how the team handled his absence, Rick Bowness's return in Florida. We got to see a glimpse of it last night. I know I was texting with Sarah Orleski earlier today. They're really excited about this one. So if you haven't already, make a point of, over the next day or so, getting over to the Jets YouTube and giving the entire episode a look at, because I think it really does a great job in taking us behind the scenes to learn more about this team, what it's made of, and probably reinforcing a lot of the things that the team has been telling us, certainly throughout this year. All right, we've got lots to do before the end of this program. We have got to get to the new Bomber schedule, and we will do that in a few minutes. I know Onebird was asking about that. We're going to be able to review the games, highlight matchups, start of the season. We'll touch on that. We also have to give away some AEW tickets. So if you're with us live on YouTube, do not go anywhere. We'll spin the wheel at the end of the show and have somebody beat the box office. Don't forget, full ticket on sale tomorrow, but the pre-sale is on right now. And if you do want to get some AEW tickets for Christmas gifts and whatnot, WST is here to hook you up. AEW WPG is the pre-sale code right now. So you can go to Ticketmaster, April 10th, Winnipeg, get on that, and we will hook you up. And again, we will get to the Bomber schedule in a minute, or in a few minutes. This is always a fun time to check it out. And listen, we're already looking forward to getting back to the Princess Auto Tailgate Zone next year at the stadium. Princess Auto, proud sponsors of the Bombers and Winnipeg Sports Talk, and the place where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. Just in time for the holidays, pop down and see them, Panet Road or Portage Avenue West. And you can always shop online and get those wheels turning on your next project 24/7, 365 at princessauto.com. Speaking of holiday gift giving and the Winnipeg Jets, I know there's a lot of people that want to get one of those sweet new 48 jerseys, maybe a new lid, maybe a jersey of a brand new player, a hoodie, tracksuit, golf shirt, whatever you were looking for the sports fan in your family. I can pretty much guarantee they have it at Royal Sports, because if they don't have it at Royal, they don't have it anywhere. The biggest and best selection of licensed merchandise for your favorite team, the local teams, the Jets and the Bombers, every team in the National Hockey League, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, even World Soccer. It's all at Royal Sports. I've also got some amazing gift ideas on the King's skate, snow, and surf side of things. Cool sunglasses, stuff to wear on the hill. And anyone that's used Yeti coolers or koozies, they've got a big Yeti section. So there's your walking papers. Take care of that list right away. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Follow them on Instagram for the latest sale information, merchandise drops, and great holiday gift ideas as well. Follow them at Royal Sports Pembina. And we will get to the Coolbet lines as well. What a barn burner we've got tonight on Thursday Night Football. Had a couple good primetime games last week. Not quite tonight. But hey, that's why we maybe make a little wager on the game, have some fun. It's the Chargers without Justin Herbert versus the Raiders. But I'll be watching the game, and it's always more fun to watch the game at your local Boston Pizza. Great promos during NFL football, chances to win great prizes, including a trip to Las Vegas. And maybe most importantly, even if the game sucks, those ice-cold schooners are great. The world-famous BP wings are awesome. And those gourmet pizzas are phenomenal as well. And hey, if you're not going out like I did later on last night, you can always get some wings, maybe a Meteor, your favorite pizza, and get it delivered to you hot and fresh from your local BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right. As I mentioned, we do have a bunch of things to get to, but just to wrap up this Jets conversation coming out of last night's game, did want to allow you to hear a little bit of Rick Bowness. Remo, if you wouldn't mind getting some of these Bones clips ready. And we'll start it off with, Bones, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about, what Vilardi said, the family nature of the club, how they're playing for each other. It was very clear that this wasn't just a regular game for the Winnipeg Jets as time went on. And I think maybe that gives us a little bit more of an insight as to how they changed up their normal schedule and routine, with Hellebuyck playing the first game of back-to-backs to have Helly in the net for this game against the LA Kings. This was Bones afterwards on that win against the LA Kings, meaning more than just a normal regular season game on the road.
And Mel's 500. We're a family in there. It's a very, very tight group. We've talked a lot about that. So this game meant a lot to a lot of people, and we got some tremendous efforts. The Scheifele line speaks for itself, but don't ever forget that back check that Adam Lowry gave us in that second period. That was absolutely huge. Shorthanded, the big shot block by Nate Schmidt in the third. All those little details that we talk a lot about, you could see those, and it's great that the Scheifele line made the biggest difference in the game, but there's a lot of major contributions from a lot of guys because of that, because it meant a lot to a lot of guys in that room.
All right, Bones on how much that meant to a few of the former Kings. Listen, it didn't look great after that bizarre goal went in from behind the goal line off Hellebuck's head. And being down 0-2 is not good at the best of times. It's even worse against a team like the LA Kings. Here's Bones on how the team battled back from that early deficit.
We were happy with the way we were playing, and sometimes things just don't go your way. I don't know how they missed that knockdown from behind in the net, so they got that one. And you shoot from the corner, it hits a guy in the mask and goes in. There's nothing you can do about that. We'll give up that shot every day. So we knew going into the second, we're down 2-0, but we were playing well. We were happy with the way we were playing, 3 games in 4 nights, and the guys knew we were not making any excuses. We're going to keep pushing the pace here, and we were able to do that.
Well, they were able to do that, and the catalyst for all of it was the top line of Ehlers, Scheifele, and Vilardi. Here's Bones on moving Vilardi up to the top line after Kyle Connor was injured.
Yeah, we probably would have moved him up about that time anyways, but the problem there was obviously Mark and Ehlers and Keesu were playing so well, so it wasn't that he wasn't ready to go up there, it was that the other line was playing so well we weren't going to touch it. But so that's why we got Gabe. We saw it in training camp, we saw it early in the year, so he's a great fit with Mark, and when that line plays like that and Nick Ehlers skates like that, they're tough to stop. But again, we got a lot of major contributions from a lot of guys, and it's great that Mark was the biggest difference.
Well, and the biggest difference was the line. I mean, I thought Ehlers in a lot of ways was the catalyst. I mean, the goal that he scored just to get them on the board, make it a 1-goal game, certainly sparked the team. And then they just took it to a whole nother level. Here's Bones on Nick Ehlers.
He was playing really well. He's been playing really well. This is the best he's played because he's healthy. He's 100% healthy, which we couldn't always say early, and we couldn't always say last year. But when he's skating like that, he's elite. It's elite speed, skills, obviously, and hockey IQ. So you love to watch him play. But it's just tonight that line made the difference. But it's a good fit with Gabe on the right side, and Mark, who's a hockey IQ, is above the charts as well. So, but when you get Nick skating like that, man, he's tough to defend.
All right, there's Bones. And one more from Bones, just wrapping a 3-1 road trip before coming home for this huge homestand, which begins Saturday night at Canada Life Center against the first-place Avs.
It was a great road trip, and again, 3 games in 4 nights and back-to-back. We don't make excuses. We keep pushing. And even that game last night, I know we lost, but we had enough chances to win that game. So I really liked the way we played on the road trip. But you look at tonight against that team, which was an elite team, we held them to 6 shots in the third period. And that's when, we got a 3-2 lead, but we're able to shut it down and still generate some offense. So those are great things to see. Hello.
All right, I think that's our cue.
Round it up. Yeah, get the sirens on. May I have your attention? The Winnipeg Jets are leaving Crypto.com Arena with 2 points and 6 of a possible 8 on the road trip. Saturday night, it's on against the Avalanche. Hopefully we'll see a bunch of you guys at the game. Tickets available now. WinnipegJets.com/tickets. All right, we're going to get to the Bomber schedule in a moment, and we will have the ticket giveaway for AEW, so stick around for that. But coming up right now for a few minutes, this is our second visit as part of our new It Takes a Community to Play series with Sport Manitoba, proudly supported by Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries. And we're going to bring in Vlastimil Cerny, talk about his incredible career as both an athlete and a coach, and what being a coach has done for his life and opportunity as well. I hope you enjoy it. It's time for our weekly It Takes a Community to Play segment with Sport Manitoba, proudly brought to you and sponsored by Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries. And, we talked last week about the opportunities to coaches and to get into coaching and where it might lead. And I don't think we could possibly have a better example of what is out there for coaches if they continue following the path. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome in, now in his 31st year as the swimming coach at the University of Manitoba, former Olympian athlete and Olympian coach, Vlastimil Cerny. Vlastik, what's going on? It's great to have you on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Well, thanks very much for having me, and I'm always happy to share my story and the story of coaching and my own swimming too. But the coaching piece has been huge for me. It took me around the world, and so glad to share.
Well, I guess before we get into the coaching career, you of course emigrated to Canada at a young age and were a top swimmer and went to the Olympics. And I think a lot of coaches start off getting involved in sports that they have been performing in as an athlete. Tell us quickly about your swimming days, and of course, going to the Olympics for the first time back in '88.
Yeah, so I mean, most coaches have done the sport, but there's a few that venture into a new sport that they haven't done. But I started, when I was in grade 2. I was picked out by one of the coaches who approached my dad, and if I wanted to join a club, and I just was a fish in the water. I loved the water and I loved competing. So I swam in my native Czech Republic. I competed at the European Championships, and then 1982 I left and defected to Germany, swam there for a year, and then ended up coming to Canada in 1983, where I competed for Canada, then 1988 Olympics, a number of international meets.
What was the Olympic experience like? And how would it compare? Maybe we can get into that because you've seen it a number of times as a coach as well. How the Olympics are different from 1988 to when you began to your other stops, helping other athletes try and reach their dreams.
Well, I mean, obviously the first one is exciting, and that's was a goal for me as an athlete. I only got there once as an athlete because of different circumstances in my life, but it was thrilling. I still remember the lighting of the flame. It was the scenario where the archer shot the arrow into the flame through the stadium. It was fantastic, and but as unfortunately as the time went on as coach, we actually have a rule that we don't go to the opening ceremonies. So we watch it on TV when we're in the village because swimming starts so early.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, different schedules for all the different athletes and games depending on when you're going there. Well, we'll get to that a little bit more. But finishing up your swimming career, how did you get into coaching? And was this something that you had always kind of thought was going to be the next step, or did it just sort of happen?
Yeah, I think it was always in the back of my mind. I was a bit of a self-coacher. I coached myself a lot. I had very good awareness, of my technique and training. And so I think it was kind of a natural move. I tried different things, but it brought me back to coaching when I finished my competitive career.
Now, getting involved in the university and being there for, 3 decades, you've had some incredible athletes, have built a program. And like in any university sport, it is cyclical. You'd love to sign Kelsey Wog to a 15-year career and represent U of M all the time. But I'm listening about that opportunity of doing it at the university level and working with student athletes that obviously are trying to be their best, but also the role of a coach to help them achieve in other aspects of their life, particularly in the classroom.
Yeah, we value, one of our 10 commandments, if you will, is graduate, and walk out of here with a degree. And we want to provide an experience in the pool that's fun and that's challenging for them to be their best in the pool as well as in the school.
Vlastik, one of the amazing things about, your time as a coach is that in addition to making such a difference with all young swimmers here in Manitoba and across the country, for yourself, it really has taken you around the world. If you can, enlighten us a little bit about some of the biggest events you've been a part, including the Pan Ams that you were just involved in recently.
Yeah, I've, as an athlete, I traveled the world. I can pick up the phone anywhere around the world and phone somebody, and it's like we pick up where we left off. So I do have a lot of friends around the world. That's one of the joys of expanding the horizon to beyond, your country. And I've been fortunate enough to do that. Traveled everywhere, and it's been great.
Pan Am Games is so big. How was that trip for you and the Canadian swimmers?
That was fantastic. It was actually my first Pan Am Games, actually outside of Winnipeg. When the games were in Winnipeg, I had athletes that were preparing for it, but we didn't quite get there. But because I was here, I was around the Pan Am Games, but not on the team. And the people of Chile were fantastic, very friendly, and a beautiful country. And they looked after us really well.
Vlastik, as far as the, kind of that road taken, obviously you mentioned Olympics as an athlete. Tell us about being a coach at the Olympics and how's the Olympic experience, other than obviously missing the opening ceremonies, how is the Olympic experience different as a coach than when you have to go out there and compete yourself?
Well, I don't know whether that was initially for me more stressful. I think maybe that as an athlete, I knew all the work that I've done and what I can do and compete. But when you just in charge of the program, you're not quite in charge of the person that's competing, and all kinds of things can happen. So that initially I did find that stressful, but it's just like anything, you learn to manage it as you go along.
You're having been involved at the university, before years ago. Your name was, synonymous with swimming in the program. What has it been about that job and coaching in general that has kept you doing it for as long as you have been and as successfully?
I think, look, I'm a believer in constant learning and reinventing and being creative. And so that's one of the things. So when I first started at the university, I wasn't full-time university. I was actually the provincial coach on a secondment agreement to the university. And then over time, we started a training center where we were nationally sponsored by our organization, by Swimming Canada. And then it changed, and then we started our developmental swim club, out of which Kelsey Wog has come through, and we had some our other national team members. So I think just change, is important, and reinventing yourself, and I'm still having fun.
You mentioned Kelsey Wog. Anyone that's been paying attention, even if they don't follow swimming at all, when local athletes do special things, it hits the papers. We talk about it. She's now finished her varsity career with the Bisons, but still swimming with the club and under your tutelage. For folks that have heard the name but aren't familiar with Kelsey, give us a little rundown on what she's done as a Bison, as a young Canadian swimmer, and what's to come for her.
So she was one of our very first swimmers when we started our developmental program, just tiny, the little girl. She was a dancer. So every year we didn't know whether she was going to continue swimming because she's, I don't know if I'll swim. She was a competitive dancer, a Highland dancer, and a very good one. And so every year she got a little bit better in swimming, a little bit better in swimming. And, we were fortunate to keep her throughout the university and work with her now beyond the university because she's training for the Paris Games.
Kelsey, and I should also mention, Michelle Lashinsky and Rhiannon Lear.
Right.
How rewarding is it from a coach's perspective to have such a big role in young athletes realizing their dreams and getting to the top of the mountain and competing in things like the Olympic Games?
Well, it's pretty exciting and rewarding for sure because you see the smile on their face. But my first Olympics when I was selected as a coach was the 2000 in Sydney, and both Michelle and Rhiannon qualified in those for that Olympics. And the announcer in those days when he was interviewing, I think Michelle, he says, "I saw your coach jump up and down. I thought he was going to crack the foundation of the pool." So it is very rewarding. A lot of work goes into it, but when the moment comes together, it's magic.
Part of this conversation we wanted to get to is, how rewarding it can be both from a personal level as well as opportunities out there. But, if there's people watching this or listening, whether they think about the sport of swimming or other sports, what message would you have to them about getting involved, what is out there in the coaching occupation, if you will, and even starting at a volunteer level, how much that can do for someone and what might be awaiting someone that's considering going down that path?
Yeah, swimming is great. I've been fortunate to pick a sport that can provide professional opportunity, not just at university, but in the club system. But I would say, pick a sport that you love and enjoy and run with it. Persevere. It's not easy. There's ups and downs. A colleague of mine once said when I had success, he says, enjoy success because you never know how long it's going to last. So you do go through ups and downs, and you have to be ready and just continue to reinvent yourself almost. And that's the fun process. That's the fun.
Absolutely. Vlastik Cerny is with us, the 3 decades plus head coach of the UMM Bison swimming program and a multiple-time Olympian as an athlete and a coach, as well as pretty much everything else. As far as coaching, how has it changed over the last few years, and how beneficial, for the sports in general has things like the Safe Sport program and risk management and all of those things that have been implemented by national governing bodies to make sports safer and better for all parties involved?
No, I think for sure it's important that we provide for the safety of children and young adults. There's no question about that. In terms of the coaching, how it's changed, I grew up in a system in Czechoslovakia where do what I say. And, if you stepped out of line, I had a coach that had a wooden clog and says, come on over here, whack me over the butt and get back in. No lengthy discussions. I knew whatever I did was probably wrong. So you wouldn't get away with that piece today. But I think there is a better way for sure. And communication and building relationships with the athletes based on trust and mutual goals, and not even mutual goals. It's the athletes' goals. That's where perhaps trouble sometimes starts, where you have your own goals and you try to impose them onto the athletes, and that's no good.
It is crazy in 2023 to hear stories like that, but and I'm not sure what it was like here in Canada, but certainly hear about different countries and on the other side of the block in a very different political time where it really was a different world. And the athlete experience was incredibly different as well.
Yeah, and the cultures had changed too. I mean, it was a hardworking culture where I grew up, and there wasn't a lot of time for discussions. Just the corporal punishment was part of the upbringing.
It really is wild. I mean, there are so many coaching opportunities out there, and I mean, we need coaches, we need officials. These games do not happen without coaches and officials. And if you are interested in turning your passion into action and becoming a coach or an official in the sport you love, get to Sport Manitoba. As we say, it takes a community to play, and the benefits of coaching, I think far reach anything that we could talk about in this piece. But Vlastik, how much longer do you think that you want to do this? It seems to be it's always been a labor of love. You're still doing it. You got a smile on your face. Your athletes are doing really well. I mean, is this one of the, I guess that's one of the great things about being a coach. Unlike an athlete, the length of being able to be involved in the sport's heck of a lot longer than competing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on, and it's I'm not even thinking of retirement, and I'm close to retirement age or the official 65, but I just turned 60, and I'm not thinking it's as long as I'm having fun, as long as I feel like I'm making a difference in young people's lives, and they can have some joy out of the journey, and then I'll just keep going.
Vlastik, great catching up and chatting with you. Continued success. Have a great holiday season, and congrats and best of luck to Kelsey and all your athletes moving forward into 2024.
Thanks very much, Andrew, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Appreciate it. There's Vlastik Cerny from the U of M as part of our It Takes a Community to Play series from Sport Manitoba, supported by Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries. If you are interested in coaching opportunities or getting involved in the grassroots of any sport here in the province, go to the Sport Manitoba website, find out more about opportunities, and go for it. As we can see, the opportunities and the potential out there are endless. All right, really enjoyed that chat with Vlast. Absolute beauty and hell of a coach, and a great guy to talk about some of the places that coaching can take people. Again, really pumped working with Sport Manitoba to kind of get into some of the topics we don't normally talk about and try and help grassroots sports at the same time. And also really appreciate the support of Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries on grassroots sports around our province. Hey, I want to thank Nick and Nikki DQ for their great support of WST. It was awesome to have Nick out last Wednesday, meeting a number of the WSTers and bringing those Buster bars and the Dilly bars. The Buster bars are unbelievable. Like, that is one thing. If you pop by Nick and Nikki DQ, DQ Northgate, DQ Polo Park, you can pick up take-home ice cream treats that you certainly can't get anywhere else. But with the holidays here, why not add a DQ ice cream cake to the mix to take that holiday gathering up to the next level? Hit them up on Instagram at DQ Manitoba if you want to get something custom made. You throw your picture on it. They can pretty much do anything. And obviously, you can just get it ready to go for a quick and easy pickup at any of the Nick and Nikki DQs. While you're at it, grab one of those stack burgers. Absolutely elite and maybe the most underrated in the game. And don't forget, they've got the new pita pit out in Niverville as well. Stop in for a healthy, fresh, delicious pita. They also do great catering as well. So if you think pita catering might go well with your next event, hit them up on Twitter or Instagram at Pita Pit Niverville, and they would love to help you out. And hey, speaking of the holidays, we had a great holiday gathering last week at Little Brown Jug. How you can make your holiday gathering better? Have Winnipeg's finest local beer available for you and your guests. And you're going to definitely want to get some of the Little Brown Jug Generic. We'll probably be having a few on Saturday night at the arena. Generic, of course, available at Winnipeg Jet games along with 1919 at both Craft Beer Corner, upstairs in Section 310 and downstairs in 126. But a great deal right now on Generic Lager, $19.99 for 8 packs and $2.99 a can at your local Manitoba liquor marts, at beer stores around the city, and the best place to do it is at Little Brown Jug. And of course, get on that. Like, that special they've got as well is unreal. Mix and match any 12 cans and get a free $15 gift card to enjoy in the tap room. Make it an LBJ holidays with generic lager and all the great Little Brown Jug beers. William Avenue and online with some great merchandise you can order as well at littlebrownjug.ca. All right, let's get to this Bomber schedule, Reem, and then we'll give away some AEW tickets. Holy smokes, it's 3 p.m. already. This has been a packed show. Well, not surprising. Everyone's so fired up about that game last night. But the Bomber schedule is out. And as Dustin Nielsen, I had not seen it. It came out while we were on the air for the Lock Shop. He said, what do you think the first game of the season is? I said, I don't know what I think it is, but it should be Winnipeg and Montreal going at it. They missed the mark last year. We didn't see the Argos until September 29th, and at that point, they weren't even playing their starters. But game one of the season this year, Thursday, June 6th, in the Peg, down at the U of M, Montreal at Winnipeg. We don't have to wait for the Bombers to get a crack at the Alouettes after what happened in the Grey Cup. We'll do it right out of the gate, game one of the season. Bombers then go to Ottawa on the 13th of June, come back for their second home game and host the BC Lions on Friday, June 21st. They then go to Calgary in week 4 on Saturday night. They host the Ottawa Redblacks Friday, July 5th, and then right back at it for another summer Friday game against the Stamps on Friday, July 12th. They will be playing Saskatchewan twice in Saskatchewan. The following Friday, the 19th, the Bombers kick off against the Riders at Mosaic, and then come back, and then head to Toronto to take on the Argos on Saturday, July 27th. Quick turnaround for the Bombers as they then play on Thursday, August 1st at home again against BC. And this will be a great way to kick off the long weekend. A lot of people will have the 2nd off, and then the 5th will be a holiday as well. And it's a holiday for the Bombers too, because they'll go on the bye after that game against the BC Lions. They're back at it in BC on Saturday, August 17th. They continue, they then host the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Friday, August 23rd. And then we get to a very familiar couple of weeks. Sunday, September 1st, the Labor Day Classic, Bombers at Saskatchewan. And then the following Saturday, 3 p.m. here in the Peg, it is the Banjo Bowl with the Riders and Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bombers are on the bye after the Banjo Bowl. Return to action for a home-and-home against the Elks in Edmonton, Saturday, September 21st. And then home to the Elks Friday, September 27th. The Bombers then hit the road again into Hamilton. And as Ed Tate noted in his piece, maybe a change of date in the annual visit to Hamilton will be good because the Bombers have lost their last couple times, including that 29-23 defeat a year ago. And the 2022 game was that insane Dane Evans game where they put up 48 on the Bombers. Bombers then come back home to host the Toronto Argonauts Friday, October 11th, have another bye week, and then the final game of the season is a rematch of the opening week of the season. Bombers at Montreal in week 18, Saturday, October 26th, and then it is playoff time. Love the schedule, Reem. Lots of great Friday nights in the summer, a couple of Thursday night games as well that I know some people will be scheduling themselves off the next day. But most importantly, kicking it off right here in the Peg in a Grey Cup rematch for the first game of the season.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready, Huss, to talk about Grey Cup rematch. Still fresh, the wounds from that loss, but the schedule is out. We do have games, and I like the Bombers schedule. I like the Thursday games. As I've said, Thursday in the summer, Winnipeg, basically a Friday. We don't have any Sunday games. There is that one, or Sunday home games. They did introduce Sunday night football in CFL last year. The only one is in BC on August 18. I found that interesting. Not a lot of Saturday games, just what the Banjo Bowl, or Saturday home games. Primarily Thursday, Fridays. I like it. It gives us, Thursday games. We can talk about them here on Friday, which I enjoy. So it's a solid schedule. What, they play every team twice too. The home and home. They were going for that, and they play 3 times against Saskatchewan, per usual, and BC. So you have those divisional rivalries. And yes, the Hamilton game normally late summer has been moved to in Hamilton in October.
Exactly. So I know, Spency, you don't like the Thursday games? Thursday games are great, especially in the summer. Heading into weekends. And I mean, that one on August 1st, like August 2nd, we'll be working because that's what we do after a Bomber game. But I would imagine, hopefully they'll win that game and everyone will be all fired up to talk about it, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of people checked out doing a lot of other things, heading out for an extended August long weekend. But 2 Thursday games, including the opener against the Alouettes, and then 6 Friday night games, and then the 1 Saturday game, which is, of course, the Banjo Bowl against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. All the information, full write-up on it, available at brewbombers.com from the man himself, Eddie Tate. Okay, Remo, are we ready to open up qualifying or entries for our AEW contest?
Yes. Yes, I do. I'm going to do it now. I'll hit the button. So ! tickets, and make sure you stick around till the draw so we can message you on here. You need to see if you win.
Yeah, this is AEW Beat the Box Office tickets. Again, if you want to buy them right now for Christmas, there's a pre-sale on. You can get great seats right now. You can use the promo code AEWWPG. But we've got a couple pair of Beat the Box Office tickets. One, go to the website and enter. We'll announce the winner tomorrow at the end of the show around the marble race. And right now, it's been a while since we've done the wheel of winners, if you will. So the April AEW show, April 10, it is on right now. Put in ! tickets, and if you are the winner, you're gonna have to fire us an email. And we don't have the tickets yet. We will be sending them out when they send them to us, but we have confirmed we've got tickets for Beat the Box Office. So right now, and you know what? Before we do this, we'll give you a couple minutes to enter, everyone, for people that maybe are just a little bit behind. ! tickets. An amazing clip from last night's AEW where Winnipeggers, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, who are partners now, Kenny was doing a promo. Their name is the Golden Jets, and he accidentally referred to themselves as the Winnipeg Jets and had to change it. So Winnipeg boys through and through. But listen, let's quickly get over to the Coolbet lines. And again, shout out to Hot Rod Z, Rod with 2 Ds, who came in yesterday into the lock shop in the chat. We have so much fun with the chat. And again, that show is right now on Edmonton Sports Talk at noon our time, leading into WST. Myself, Dustin Nielsen, and Rod convinced us last night. I was dubious on it. I was nervous. I mean, there's nothing better than winning a parlay, including your own team. But I had whenever I had thrown the Jets out because I was confident in them winning, it didn't happen. And I was feeling like I was mushing them. Rod came with the tremendous information. He dropped. They were 5-0 in the second end of back-to-backs. A bunch of other reasons why we should have taken them. And we all know what happened last night in the game. A beautiful plus 675 parlay just in time for NFL week. So shout out to Rod, and shout out to everyone that joined us yesterday in the Coolbet lines and jumped on Gabriel Vilardi at plus 300. Revenge game narrative, undefeated. That was another beauty as well. As far as tonight goes, we do have Thursday night football, and it's a bit of a dog game. Are you ready for Aiden O'Connell versus Easton Stick? as the Raiders host the Chargers, or what's left of them. The Raiders are 3-point favorites in this game. Chargers getting 3. And the total in this game is 34.5. We did cook up a Lock Shop Partner Parlay exclusive for tonight. We've got Josh Palmer, the Canadian, 34-plus receiving yards. And with just how beaten up these offensive lines are, I think there'll be a number of dump-offs to Austin Eckler. We've got him for 5 or more receptions. And Michael Mayer, the rookie tight end for the Raiders, 3 receptions. So Palmer, 34 yards. Eckler, 5 receptions. Mayer, 3 receptions. That is up right now in the exclusives at plus 495. And primetime Patty Gregoire, who served up a beauty for that Sunday nighter from the Cowboys and Eagles, is back at it. Our usual field goal bet, over 3.5 field goals. And Khalil Mack with a sack and Max Crosby with the sack. That's one is at plus 415. NHL tonight. Caps are in the Caps are in Philly. Take on the Flyers. Flyers minus 147 favorites. Caps plus 125. Blue Jackets in Toronto take on the Leafs. Leafs a big favorite, minus 246. Hurricanes in Detroit. The Canes are a minus 176 favorite. The Flames are taking on the Minnesota Wild. Calgary plus 134. Minnesota minus 158. The new interim coach is behind the bench tonight for the Blues. They're a home dog, plus 112 to the Ottawa Senators at minus 132. And definitely the game of the night, Lightning at the Oilers. Oilers have won 8 in a row. Maybe the Lightning can cool them off. Tampa's plus 144. Edmonton's minus 170. And then 2 late ones tonight. Blackhawks at Kraken. Kraken a huge minus 236 favorite. And an interesting one, the Panthers at minus 120 in Vancouver as favorites, taking on the Canucks at plus 102. Is this Bobby Lou night?
Yes, I believe so. And I'm seeing a lot of Bobby Lou on Twitter, most notably retweeting his tweet of the toilet from the 2007 playoffs. But I believe it is. And I was kind of surprised the Canucks are underdogs, but Florida playing very well. And you mentioned that Tampa-Edmonton game. Victor Hedman won't be the lineup for the Lightning against Oilers, who are on quite a heater. So some nice late games on the schedule here. And I guess it's St. Louis's first game without Craig Berube. I don't know if they get a bump. They asked Jordan Kyrou about what he thought of Berube, and he said, "I have no comment. He's not my coach anymore."
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was pretty clear that they spent all the money on Kyrou and Robert Thomas, and I don't think those guys were big Berube guys. And that's a big reason why St. Louis is where they're at right now in the standings. Yeah. So I'd love to see Ottawa win that game, and I'd love to see Tampa win that game as well tonight. Hey, if you haven't played a Coolbet, use the promo code WST. On your first deposit, you get 100% bonus up to $200. And make sure to join us in the Lock Shop tomorrow at noon. Biggest show of the week, our NFL best bets. Yes, you are listening to a guy that went 5-0 against the spread last week. We'll try and do it again tomorrow. Join us at noon. Give us a sub. And hey, wherever you get Winnipeg Sports Talk podcast, search Lock Shop and give us a sub there as well. And you can listen to the audio version. All right, we're about to do the ticket giveaway. Excuse me. Don't forget, though, go to the website, winnipegsportstalk.com. Enter to win the other pair. We're going to give those away tomorrow. And if you're with us in the chat, get on that mailing list because we've also got Moose tickets to give away. And there's a link right there. You'll get notified. If you missed the show when we're doing giveaways, it's a great way to stay in touch with WST when you might not be able to catch the show live. All right, last call. Exclamation mark tickets if you just got in here, and then stick around because if you win, you're going to need to send us your email and information so we can get you those tickets. Before we do this, though, I just want to play a clip. This is a longer promo. We'll just play like the first minute or so. So here are Winnipeg boys, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, international superstars, now doing a tag team in AEW as the Golden Jets in a nod to their hometown. And Kenny got a little mixed up. Maybe he was fired up about the Kings game last night. I'm not sure. But this was quite the Freudian slip last night on AEW as Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho dropped a promo in the ring. There it is, the Winnipeg Jets. They are the Winnipeg Jets of wrestling, that is for sure. And definitely some of our greatest. But Yin Vivian, you realize wrestling is 100% scripted, right, Huss? What are you talking about? Scripted?
Yeah, I just wrote you.
No
sure?
idea what you're talking about. No idea, Yin, what you're talking about at all. Anyways, April 10 here in Winnipeg. Let's let somebody beat the box office. Remo, you want to grab the names and throw them into the wheel of winners?
Sure. Let me grab them. Before we do that, hold on. A lot of people are asking us, did you see this, Huss? Former Manitoba Moose goalie Mikhail Burden.
Oh my God! In the KHL All-Star game with the 2-on-1.
Everyone's asking. Everyone wants us to.
Sure, yeah. While you get the names, throw this. Yeah, I mean, the Birdman, listen, he might not be great all the time at stopping the puck, but I've never seen anybody handle the puck as a goaltender like Burden. And this is a clip from, I believe it was the KHL All-Star game. And I guarantee you've never seen a goalie do this before in a game.
Let me find, hold on, I had it, and then, here it is. Former Moose goalie goes end to end. What a wild. Hold on, oh yeah, this is it. Here, should I just let their commentary?
Красавец, Миша!
What's he doing?
Давай, Слав! И передача. Отдал и открылся. Красавчик, Берди!
It's pretty nice.
Tic-tac.
Сейчас там мама
And again, if you're listening on the podcast, this starts off behind the net, and he just decides, screw it, I'm going. And a beautiful back and forth with the forward, and Burden taps it in. You know, he can skate, and he can definitely stick handle. Again, the main job of goaltender is to stop the puck. But man, he was fun to watch here in with the Moose while he was here. One other goaltending note, and this was a little unfortunate, Reem. But we kind of were thinking that the Jets might have the starting goaltender for the World Juniors. But Dom DiVincentis released from the club and will not be one of the two goaltenders on the club. So that was a little bit of unfortunate news for Jet fans as we get ready for the annual Christmas tournament.
Yeah, that was too bad. We thought maybe he would be on the roster. Not quite, but there was some positive. We weren't sure about Rutger McGroarty's situation, the first-round pick from a couple of years ago, as he was injured, really bad, crash into the boards, was in the hospital, but he was on the ice at the Team USA camp today, in a non-contact jersey. They're hopeful he can play. We'll have to wait and see, but I think just positive for him to be back on because you don't know how long someone's going to be with a crash like that. I think that could have been very very bad.
Like we never really got details on exactly what it was, but it seemed like some sort of a tailbone injury. And I'll be honest, USA would be nuts not to bring him anyways, even if he couldn't play, just to be the captain of vibes for the team. We all know what Rutger brings to a team and a dressing room, even for a shorter event like that. All right, geez, this is late. We got to get this pod up. Let's give away some AEW Beat the Box Office tickets. We've got 2 pairs, one be given away on the website, so make sure to go over, enter there, and enter on, make sure to sign up for our mailing list so you've got notifications when we're doing things like this. But today, we do have a pair of tickets, and we're giving away to someone live. Yeah, it's your boy Bruce mentioning Top Line is likely going to be our former ice guys, Matt Savoy and Connor Geeky, who shape up to be the top line for Canada. So certainly there'll be some Winnipeg flavor. But was hoping to see Dom DiVincentis as the guy getting the starts for Canada. That unfortunately will not be the case this season. All right, Wheel of Winners. Been a little while since we spun the wheel. But whoever wins this wheel spin is going to be getting Beat the Box Office tickets for AEW. And once again, pre-sale is on right now. If you need the code, we got your hookup. AEW WPG is the pre-sale code if you want to get some Christmas presents for the wrestling fans in your circle. All right, Remo, let's do this.
Here we got all the names in. We got 30 names in the wheel. Ready
Good luck
spin
to all
it.
of you. Good luck to all of you, fellow AEW fans and fans of both the Winnipeg Jets and the Golden Jets. We're going to spin it. If you win, send us an email at winnipegsportstalk.com. We'll be putting it on a list, and as soon as we get the tickets from AEW, you will have them, but you'll know that you're in before the general sale goes on tomorrow. All right, Remo, take it away and spin.
Sure, yeah, let me mention winnipegsportstalk.com /contest for another chance to win tickets. And also there's Moose tickets for Sunday's game, which I will hand out Friday evening. So go there and throw your name in for
another chance to win with WST. All right, here we go.
All right, I'm going to hit the spin button. Let me turn down the volume just a tad on the wheel sound.
I like
all right,
wheel
I should
sound.
get two. We don't have where's Tristan? Can we get a wheel of names song or? Anyways, I'll shut up.
Wheel time. AEW Beat the Box Office tickets. Who's going to AEW? Mary Jane, yes. Mary Jane, one of our favorites, always here with us in the chat on the live show. Great to see such a popular and positive member of our community win it. Mary Jane, get ready for some fun at wrestling on the 10th of April. Fire us an email, Mary Jane, and we'll make sure we'll send you those tickets as soon as they become available. All right, well, great show today, man. We had lots to get to. Tomorrow, Weeb's World, Hacksaw, maybe a special guest or two we're working on. So be sure to join us at 1 p.m. We'll have the latest from around the world of sports, latest from Jets practice, and we will get ready for the Avalanche's visit on Saturday night. Get your tickets. Let's see that building packed for a battle for first place in the Central Division between the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche, who won the Cup a couple years ago. Big thanks to Brandon Rewucki, Scott Billeck, Vlastimil Cerny, and all of you for making us a part of your day. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit a thumbs up on the way out. Congratulations to Mary Jane for winning the AEW tickets. We will announce the second AEW Beat the Box Office winner tomorrow. Enter at winnipegsportstalk.com/contest. Huge appreciation of the sponsors that make this show happen each and every day. And all of you, have a great night. Hold your nose if you have to and enjoy the Chargers and Raiders. And we'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on WST.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.